Ladies and gentlemen, another Democrat arrested, charged, and indicted. This is The Hill, Andrew Gillum, 2018 Florida governor candidate charged with fraud. NBC News, Andrew Gillum, DeSantis' 2018 opponent indicted for wire fraud false statements. And so he's been indicted, charged, and let's just read a Fox News article. Former Florida gubernatorial candidate Andrew Gillum indicted on, conspiracy wire fraud charges. Andrew Gillum narrowly lost to Ron DeSantis in 2018 Florida gubernatorial election. Former Florida Democratic gubernatorial candidate Andrew Gillum was indicted on charges including conspiracy and 19 counts of wire fraud. The Department of Justice announced Wednesday today, Gillum, who was once mayor of Tallahassee, is accused of acting in concert with associate Sharon Janet Letman Hicks to solicit funds using false representation and promises. The indictment further alleges the defendants used third parties to divert a portion of those funds to a company owned by Letman Hicks, who then fraudulently provided the funds disguised as payroll payments to Gillum for personal use. The Justice Department press release states. Wow. So I just want to see, because it doesn't link to DOJ Andrew Gillum. Wow. So if you go to the Department of Justice, former Tallahassee mayor and gubernatorial candidate and associate charged with conspiracy, wire fraud, and making false statements. A federal grand jury has returned a 21-count indictment against Andrew Dimitri Gillum, 42. The indictment was announced by Jason R. Cody, the United States Attorney for the Northern District of Florida. The indictment alleges that between 2016 and 2019, the past 3-4 years, 16, 17, 18, 19, defendants Gillum conspired to commit wire fraud by unlawfully soliciting and obtaining funds from various entities and individuals through false and fraudulent promises and representations that the funds would be used for a legitimate purpose. The indictment further alleges the defendants used third parties to divert a portion of those funds to a company owned by, the other person, who then fraudulently provided funds disguised as payroll payments to Gillum for personal use. Wow. Both defendants are charged with 19 counts of wire fraud. Wow. Maximum terms of imprisonment for the offenses are as follows: 5 years making false statements, 20 years the wire fraud, and 20 years trying to commit the wire fraud. The investigation was conducted by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Interesting. Wow. So they're doing their job. Oftentimes, this is very interesting. I remember when I was still the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post, and the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. This is before I became a supporter of Trump and DeSantis, and before I wanted a candidate that opposes Lincoln Project foreign policy and knows how to run the economy. So we're looking right now at record highs in terms of inflation, a recession, food shortages. It's worse for the working people that Bernie Sanders claims to care about. And foreign policy is worse as well. Infinitely worse than at any point in Trump's administration. But this is really interesting. Yet another Democrat. There's been like about 11 Democrats. And interesting enough, Trump, showing no evidence, calls Andrew Gillum a thief. This is CNN 2018. And 3 years later, wow. This is very interesting. Very interesting. So Trump basically knew perhaps what the type of criminal behavior he was engaged in. This is very bizarre because Trump called this out in 2018. I have no clue how Donald Trump knew, but now he's indicted on 19 counts. So this is really huge. And this is all over the place. I read a Fox News article. There's a New York Times article. Andrew Gillum, DeSantis' 2018 rival, is charged. There's an ABC News affiliate article here. Andrew Gillum charged with wire fraud and making false statements. 21 counts. Indicted on 21 counts by a federal grand jury. 21 counts, ladies and gentlemen. The indictments were for criminal activity from 2016 through 2019. Wow. This is very, very interesting. And Gillum released the following statement regarding the charges. Quote, I have spent the last 20 years of my life in public service and continue to fight for the people. Okay. Every campaign I've run has been done with integrity. Okay. Make no mistake that this case is not legal. It's political. Well, the Federal Bureau of Investigation was involved not with a Steele dossier, but with a money transfer and bank records, and it's not that difficult to find out if somebody is working with another person to do what they did, or what they are alleged to have done, or what they're indicted to have done. Throughout my career, I've always stood up to the people of Florida, have spoken truth to power. Here we go. So, this is really interesting. Really interesting. Unlawfully soliciting and obtaining funds from various entities and individuals. That's kind of like how the Democratic Party operates. Hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen. Hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel and the Bitcoin Crash to 10,000 or lower channel below. I'll have segments on there today. Wow, this is really, really, really huge. Unlawfully soliciting and obtaining funds from various entities and individuals through false and fraudulent promises and representations that the funds would be used for legitimate purposes. So, they were deceiving other corporations and people into thinking that their money, the money that they were acquiring from these people or corporations or entities, was going to be used for a legitimate purpose. That's what the Federal Bureau of Investigation should be focused on only. It should not be focused on finding maniacs, protecting society, and in the case where there's actually an obstacle or issue pertaining to national security, they should focus on that, but not domestic politics, not siding with one political party. And this type of thing with Democrats has taken a foothold within, it's since Tammany Hall, this type of thing. It's since Tammany Hall. So you have a situation where you've had about 8 to 10 Democrats in the past year involved in schemes to defraud either constituents or acquire money through this type of activity. And I talked about that, and this is all public record. I'm reading an ABC News affiliate. I just read the New York Times and then Fox News. So this is the type of thing the Democrats do. And there's a couple people in media that we all know that have political action, that were tied with political action committees, by the way, that were involved in potential campaign finance violations. Let's not, we don't have to, we won't have to bring up, we don't have to bring up who was involved, but we don't have to bring up who was involved, but there are Democrats and pundits within the Democratic Party that were involved with political action committees that ended up raising money. Just really interesting. Raising money. Wow. Okay. Very, very, very interesting. We just won't go there now. But this is the type of thing that happens within the Democratic Party. Very interesting. Andrew Gillum wanted Medicare for all. Fast forward, now he's indicted on 21 counts. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel